How many times have you heard this argument? There are thousands of unused shipping containers lying around the world. You can solve homelessness and housing crises if you convert them into homes. A growing number of housing organizations in England and Wales have embraced this idea. They assemble prefabricated modular units made of shipping containers to provide emergency, short-term, subsidized accommodation to displaced low-income families and individuals. Richardson's Yard in Brighton opened their 36-unit shelter in December 2013. Each unit is a single 8-foot by 40-foot container with windows on the ends. Marston Court Housing was opened in April 2017 in Ealing, West London. It is a 34-apartment complex that was manufactured, fitted and finished in 14 weeks. Each house is made of at least two 8-foot by 20-foot containers with a cutout in the wall between them. Another housing complex called Meath Court in Acton's Hope Gardens was opened in December 2017. It's a larger 60-apartment shipping container housing complex. It also uses interconnected 8-foot by 20-foot containers for each unit. Other temporary accommodations can be found in Reading, Redbridge and Cardiff. QED Sustainable Urban Developments, the company behind many of these temporary shipping container housing projects, have designed them to be a kit of parts. Each shipping container is either a bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, or circulation module with all the plumbing, vents, and appliances built in. All these prefabricated units can be clipped together to form a variety of housing arrangements. The interiors are robust and industrial. They are designed for high-wear use. The walls are made of plastic paneling and the countertops are durable sheet metal. Since these are meant to be temporary housing units, they are very easy to clean and refurbish for the next family that lives in them. The utilitarian design is ideal for the purpose it serves. The modules have minimal cutouts, so you reduce the need for extra reinforcement. They are approximately 20% quicker to construct than a comparable housing project. A studio unit costs around £25,000 to build, and a one-bedroom costs around £35,000. They are a great idea for a temporary shelter, but issues arise when people have to live there for months or even years. Anne Longfield, the Children's Commissioner of England, has long spoken about the negative effects living in a shipping container has on children. The Royal Institute of British Architects says that shipping containers cannot readily be adapted to provide the spatial or environmental requirements for living. Reuse of containers can result in substandard, cramped, unhealthy spaces which overheat in summer and freeze in winter. Patrick Butler has written a couple of insightful articles for The Guardian on this topic. He has interviewed several people who have lived in these container homes, and they agree with these temperature swings. One family said that they could hardly breathe in their upper floor apartment, and they ended up sleeping outside in summer. Condensation is a common issue with mold growing inside the units. The exposed metal staircase is a safety hazard in winter when it's iced over. This Sky News segment interviews one of the residents who has a child with special needs.
Okay, living here is very, very difficult for any type of family. As you can see, there's no place even we can call a sitting room. The place is a shipping container. This is a cargo container. This is not for human being. This is a mental torture, more like it.
Homelessness is such a difficult issue to tackle. Humans keep inventing ways to alleviate the problem and help our fellow human beings in a compassionate way. But there is no right answer. After all the struggles that these tenants have faced, they are obviously grateful to have their own kitchen and their own bathroom, subsidized rent, and they realize that it's better than living out on the street. But they aren't comfortable in their cramped metal sea cans. They want to feel normal after everything that they have been through. They want to just fit into their neighborhoods, but their corrugated metal homes stick out like a sore thumb among all the other brick buildings. They might look trendy to an outsider, but to the inhabitant, it's different. Humans react negatively to things, people, and opinions that are different. Their neighbors understandably worry that these container homes will bring down the property value in the area, just like trailer parks. Modular units obviously have a lot of advantages like ease of construction, lower costs, and flexibility. They might be the right path to take when building these shelters, but why do they have to be made of shipping containers? These brand new or one-time use containers are prematurely recycled. Their lifespan of 10 to 12 years is cut short. It is also estimated that a recycled steel shipping container can produce enough metal studs to build 14 equivalent framed houses. Just think of how inefficient that is. You could make a modular unit out of structural steel that fits human proportions and use the money saved on well-insulated walls made of foam, wood, or hardyboard. What's very disappointing is that we have been through these cycles of failed social housing over and over again, but we just don't learn from it. Le Corbusier, a Swiss-French architect and designer and one of the pioneers of modern architecture, tried to tackle the housing crisis in Europe after World War II. Thousands of families were displaced because of the extensive bombing raids. Le Corbusier came up with his ideal city containing prefabricated and identical high-density concrete skyscrapers, allowing the city to function as a living machine. He believed that repetition, order, and standardization of architecture would fix social issues, solve homelessness, prevent unrest and revolution. Design and space would magically reform people. Unité d'habitation in Marseille, France, was his first mass housing project. This raw concrete brutalist building focused on communal living. All the inhabitants were meant to shop, play, and live together in this vertical garden city. Yes, Le Corbusier considered these concrete pavers to be a garden. He has been blamed for some of history's most ill-conceived social housing projects, which had negative psychological and social effects on the inhabitants. He obviously overestimated the effect that a building would have on the political, social, and economic conditions of society. Unfortunately, his idealistic designs were adopted in America at the Pruitt-Igoe housing projects in St. Louis, Missouri, which were a massive failure. The complex was opened in 1956 and soon became a hub for poverty, crime, and racial segregation.
When the temperatures dropped below freezing earlier this week, water lines in several of the Pruitt-Igoe apartment buildings broke and the subsequent flow of water turned into ice. A sewer line is broken, and now raw sewage bubbles out of the ground like a malevolent spring. 30 additional carpenters were added to the maintenance crews to board up an estimated 10,000 broken windows.
All 33 buildings were demolished with explosives in the mid-1970s. It has become an icon of failure of urban renewal, public policy planning, and public housing. A more recent social housing failure is seen in New Orleans. After Hurricane Katrina devastated the lower Ninth Ward in 2005, Brad Pitt set up the Make It Right Foundation to help rebuild the area. I visited it last year, and it is a depressing ghost town. The homes were supposed to be energy efficient, high-quality architecture that met LEED Platinum status. Instead, architects like Frank Gehry came in with funky, overambitious designs, threw up cheaply made homes, and slapped solar panels on them. Soon after, the tenants noticed mold growing inside their homes, rotting wood, sloped floors, leaky roofs, electrical and plumbing issues, and collapsing walls. The Make It Right Foundation has been plagued with lawsuits, and one of the homes is set to be demolished since it's in imminent danger of collapse. So let's find a common thread among all these social housing projects: Le Corbusier's brutalist concrete designs, Pruitt-Igoe, New Orleans, and the shipping container projects. In every case, an architect or a designer, city planner, or engineer has approached the problem with arrogance or idealism. They think they know what the homeless need, and they want to impose their theoretical master plans on people. They are designing for an imaginary client and not for the everyday civilian. This idea of a modular system and kit of parts is taught at every architecture school. I went through it in undergrad and grad school. Modular designs are going to change the world and solve every political and socio-economic problem out there. We're taught that the suburbs are soulless, that people need raw concrete and all-white clinical spaces, People don't need color or ornamentation. You must wear all black every day to be taken seriously as an architect. It took me a while to realize how arrogant that mentality is. My siblings are perfectly happy in the suburbs. It's ideal for their kids, and they have a little community that takes care of each other. A very small part of the population wants a minimalist, perfectly orthogonal home, and if they do, they will build it themselves. If you impose shipping container architecture on people, they will reject it. This goes back to the idea that humans want what they can't or they don't have, or grass is greener on the other side mentality. We discussed this in a previous video. I'll link that video up here. So what's the solution? Well, for starters, we need to get rid of this arrogant and overambitious idea that design principles can change the world. There is no doubt that new architecture can improve cities and standard of living, but we mustn't assume that it can improve the world. We need to approach the problem of homelessness and social housing with more humility, and we need to believe that people know what they want. Take their input into consideration. And most importantly, we must remember that inevitable value engineering is going to destroy any atypical social housing project. You are going to end up with a cheap product that is a shadow of your original intention. That's what led to the failure of Unité d'Habitation, Pruitt-Igoe, the New Orleans homes, and probably even the shipping container homes. Hope you enjoyed that analysis of shipping container social housing. If you have examples of other social housing projects that were either a success or a failure, leave me a comment below. I'll link my other video showcasing some successful shipping container conversions over here. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See ya.